This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Tyler says Dirt ate more jalapeno poppers than Tyreek Hill has kids, and somehow he's paying a higher price. That's correct.
Yeah, that was your Super Bowl yesterday. That about sums it up, man. That about sums it up.
We can get to the X's and O's of the game, and just, boy, how rattled Patrick Mahomes was. I know that offensive line got beat like a drum. But I also saw so many plays where that dude was Sam Darnold. He was seeing ghosts, I thought, when he dropped back, like rushing into pressure, making awful decisions. He had a pick six in this game, a terrible interception.
I mean, he lost in the game, if we're being honest. It wasn't all on him, but a primary reason they lost that game was Patrick Mahomes.
Well, even the Hopkins drop, I wouldn't even – I know it hit his hand, and we do that. Like, if it touches your hand, you got to catch it.
It's like 24-0 at that point. Like, yeah, that's a big drop. Sure, you're not winning that game. It's 24-0.
I didn't think that throw was good whatsoever. Kelsey, I don't know how he plays again. He looked so old at the end of this run. But he had one behind him. But you think, did he drop that? I was like, it's way behind him. I didn't think he was very good, like, at all. That's one of his worst games of his incredible career so far. And we can get into that stuff. I watched to the very end. I watched the post game. Chris Berman's teeth almost came out live in the post game. He was cutting cake for people. He kept interrupting people. Him and Bradshaw kept interrupting players.
Where was Chris Berman? Like on the ESPN set?
The main post-game
they
broadcast.
did a live edition of Primetime.
It was him, Smith, and
before
Booger.
they cut to SVP.
I didn't see any of that
Cooper
stuff.
DeJean cake. Cooper DeJean had to then hold cake, and then he put his microphone in his armpit, and as soon as he handed him the cake, he goes, "Hey, Cooper, tell us what it was like. The defense, tell us what that defense was like." And he's like, "What? I'm eating cake." And Smith had to grab. I got the mic, Boomer. It was very weirdly produced, but my big takeaway, I kept coming to it. Now, we debate this nonsensical stuff of where does he rank? Where does this guy rank? Nobody can quantify it other than just feel and eyeball stuff, right? I'm not here to talk about rankings. I'm here to simply say my big takeaway, I felt amazing for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is one of the best sports stories in the last 20 years. The dude goes to Alabama, highly recruited prospect, gets to the national championship, loses, comes back the next year, getting blown out in the first half of the title game, gets benched at halftime for a redshirt freshman that half of America had never heard of. Team comes back, freshman leads the comeback, they win. Jalen Hurts is not the guy. We told you he wasn't the guy. Jalen Hurts sits, then goes to Oklahoma to a pass-happy offense where all of us go, that guy can't pass. Come on. Goes to Oklahoma, passes, fits in the offense, has a great season, then goes to the NFL draft. That guy's a running back. He's not a quarterback. Gets drafted by Philadelphia, comes in, doubted, starts as a rookie, gets to the playoff in the wild card, gets embarrassed. See, that guy's not a pro quarterback. Comes back the next year, Super Bowl. Holy crap. Has a great Super Bowl. Well, he's a loser. He can't win the Super Bowl. Comes back the next year, blows an incredible start. They fall at the end of the year. They're eliminated early. Yeah, Jalen Hurts really isn't the guy. Comes back this year, has an okay, not amazing season. We highlighted his numbers earlier this year. Leads the team as the quarterback. Great Saquon season. Amazing defense. Gets to the Super Bowl. They can't win. The other guy's better at that position. He can't manage the game enough to win this, and the coach quarterback's worse than the other coach quarterback. Has a good game, wins the Super Bowl. He is such a great story of perseverance that, I kept coming back to Dirt. Man, I'm happy for that dude. I don't know where people rank him, but I'm happy. That's a genuinely good dude by all accounts.
He's a good leader in the locker room.
I was happy for Jalen Hurts yesterday.
Beloved by his teammates. There's no doubt about that. And he has been doubted, by myself included, his entire career, every step that he has taken. Now, to me, it wasn't the biggest story of the game. And that's one of the things that I knew was going to bother me a little bit with Philadelphia winning. Hurts was good yesterday. He was better than Patrick Mahomes. He threw a terrible interception in the first half of that game. His numbers, when he finally had that long touchdown pass to Smith in the second half, which, by the way, Random crazy stat out of the game. That's the first time an Alabama player has ever scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like caught a touchdown pass.
Caught a touchdown.
Or like scored it, like run a touchdown or caught a touchdown pass.
Well, no, it would have been Hurts with the tush push.
Yeah, I don't know.
Caught. You mean caught?
Like, I'm just saying, like, non-quarterback scoring a touchdown.
okay.
The first time that's ever happened. Somebody had that report yesterday. It happened. An Alabama player has finally scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
I mean, Forrest Gump would have done it had he
Forrest
not
Gump
gone
would
to
have
Vietnam.
done it. Because Joe Namath won a Super Bowl and threw a touchdown pass. But evidently there's never been an Alabama skill position player that's ever scored a touchdown in a game. Which
Ingram
is just,
didn't rush one in. Was he with the Ravens when they?
when did the Ravens go to this? No, he
not
wasn't there in
Lamar.
2012.
Not in Lamar's era.
No. So we can go fact check that. I just saw that was a random thought bubble. I was like, that blew me away when he finally had that. Hurts was good. He was solid. He used his legs. That was killer in the second half when he was scrambling around.
Leading rusher.
Continuing to extend plays and all that. To me, this is some of the stuff though that does bother me. Like the storyline out of that game was Philadelphia's defensive line.
Oh, I'm not. You see,
I know. I'm not saying that you're saying that. I just say
he's not just the reason.
It was one of the
game.
reasons that I didn't want Philly to win that game was because I just knew that the Jalen Hurts conversation would go to a different point, and I've already started to hear some of that. I'm not saying that's what you're arguing. The only thing that mattered to me in the game, and if you would have told me this on Friday, I would have said, yeah, I'm hammering the Eagles. What's the alternate line that I'm going to go to? The Kansas City Chiefs dropped back to pass 42 times in that game. Philadelphia didn't blitz once.
Not one.
Not once.
It's the most times
42
Mahomes
times
has been sacked.
They didn't blitz once. He faced 16 pressures. He was sacked 6 times. That's the most ever in a game in his career. And I believe the number out of that was 6 different times that a defense in the Super Bowl has not blitzed a single time, and every single time that a defense has been able to do that, shocking. I know they're undefeated in the games. So when you can create pressure without having to blitz, this is what it's going to look like. And Philadelphia was in his kitchen the entire game. Mahomes played the worst game of his career. He was seeing ghosts. He was rattled. He had Worthy wide open on, I think, their second or third drive of the game right out of the gate. His defense kept handing him opportunity after opportunity. You think back to that first half, that game easily, and this is what everybody would say when they play the Chiefs, like that could have been a 28-0 game. Philly has the drive on the opening drive of the game where they get to midfield, 4th down, they decide to go for it. You get the bad offensive PI call. That, all right, whatever. There goes Kansas City getting their calls. Then they get it and they score a touchdown. You're like, all right, here comes Philly. They're up 7-0. They get the ball back. Hurts throws an interception. It's like, oh, it should be 10-0. It should be 14-0. Then they get the ball back and they drive down. What do they have to do? Settle for a field goal. Could have been 21-0 at that point, but instead it's only 10-0. And then Mahomes throws the pick 6 and that ends up being the backbreaker. Like, what they did defensively up front was jaw-dropping and just something that you don't see happen very often. And when you can dominate a game like that, the only thought that I had consistently throughout the course of the game was, I'm really glad people let Jalen Carter's character concerns allow him to fall to Philadelphia in the draft. Like, this is what they've done. They built their team up front defensively, and that's why they're probably not going to go anywhere, and they've been one of the best teams in the league over the last 3 years.
Well, you see why, watching with the mix of veteran and young guys, why Howie Roseman gets so much credit, right? It's Carter falls to him, risky pick because of what had just transpired in the draft.
Yeah.
We're going to take him anyway. Character issues be damned. That is the best defensive tackle in this draft. We'll take him if he's going to fall to 9. Cooper DeJean at Iowa. Quinyon Mitchell. Like, how often do you get rookie DBs that are instantly that amazing? Cooper DeJean had a minute where he might have been the MVP of the game. He had a pick 6. He was good on punt return.
Yeah.
I just like everything that they tweaked, signing Saquon Barkley, everything they tweaked or added. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, everything that they have grabbed in the last 5 years won them the Super Bowl. And it damn near won them the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but they added those little young pieces in the draft.
Yeah.
And when you hit on the draft and you add a little piece that's not so little in Saquon, this is what can happen. Now, I was not in any way saying that my takeaway was Hurts because, well, Hurts is top 5 and Hurts
I know
single-handedly
you were,
won. But this is, I know where you're going, and I totally get why you go there. The national narrative now.
Like, him winning the MVP was really stupid to me.
Well,
that bothered me.
You can't give
the
defensive line the MVP.
I would have given it to Cooper DeJean, man. His pick 6 was the game. He was great on punt return.
But he was the leading rusher. He's the quarterback. He only had 5 incompletions in this game.
Yep.
Like, he had 2 touchdown passes. That was the easiest pick, I think, just because of the way we view that sport. I just genuinely am talking about, man, I feel good for this guy.
Totally.
I have absolutely been on the air and been critical of him or questioned how we gauge him. But when he needs to, he kind of does a little bit of the Mahomes thing in the sense of he doesn't get in the way of his team very often. He's not also the reason they win all these games. But even if he has a mistake, like the interception early, his defense was so stellar that he rebounds from it, and it's not a big deal. He did that in the last one. He fumbled early. Didn't matter. He had his team in a position. They had the lead. They tied the game. Kansas City ended up winning thanks to that penalty. And my thing was, I'm happy for people who persevere, who don't allow noise to get in the way. This was him in the postgame, Jalen Hurts, I thought this was really good stuff on his team getting the Super Bowl win.
It definitely took a team effort, it took a group effort, and only thing I can think about is all the effort, all the work that was put in over the course of time. And I think we had a focused group out there. Offense was able to score points, to take advantage of opportunities, just enough to put points on the board, and then defense played their ass off. They played how they played all year, and I truly believe offense wins games, but defense wins championships, and how that defense has been able to play. It's a great testament to them.
He said that twice last night. He said it on the Fox post game with Aaron Andrews. Defense wins championships. Like, he won the MVP. He was crediting the defense wins championships. He saw what we all saw.
Yeah.
They won that game on defense. They did.
They scored 14 points for him in the first half. One on a pick six,
Yes.
and the other one was an interception at the 10-yard line.
Oh, yeah, and that's
And without that, the game's 10-0 or 13-0 at the half, and it's a totally different feel.
But that's kind of the compliment of both sides there. The defense was huge for them. It did win it. I'm not going to refute that. They executed off of that Bond touchdown or interception. They get the touchdown to Brown, and it's like, there you go. When you're trading field position and you're executing with touchdowns, I don't know if we can quite put into words how it has to feel as a human to get benched in a national championship game, watch your team win despite your bad play.
Yeah. To overcome it.
And go on to do what he did at Oklahoma, and then what he has done. I don't think we can quite put that into words. And he has been good in his career. He is clearly their franchise quarterback, and he is a part. The defense carried it last night, but he is a part of the reason they win that Super Bowl.
They can't do it. I wish we could change the rules and regulations on MVPs. It was like when Seattle beat Denver in the Super Bowl and you had to pick one random guy on defense. Like, dude, just give it to – can we get 11 trophies and give it to the starting defense?
Malcolm Smith?
Malcolm Smith, I think, because he had the pick six. And you're like, yeah, I get that was a big play.
Can it just be the whole side?
Can just give 11 MVPs out. It was that whole defense. Like, can I get 11 MVP trophies and give it to the Philly defense? Because they deserved it yesterday.